What's up, action takers, the community of doers? I hope you're doing fine. Episode 16, week 16, 52 weeks. Here we come. Now, I've just completed reading The Magic of Thinking Big. And one of the things that really stood out for me, of course, there are so many lessons that I was able to capture, which I'm going to be sharing with you as we move along in just this pursuit of rethinking the conventionality of our day-to-day life. But this one was so profound, such that I've decided to let's have a conversation around it in our 16th episode. Now, he gives a story. Of course, the book has been written by David Schwartz. He gives a story about 3 bricklayers. There were people who were building a cathedral. A cathedral is places of worship for the Catholic. You understand, the big buildings that are built for places of worship. This is how the story goes. Someone went and found people who were building a cathedral. So they were laying the bricks. Then he went to the first guy and he asked him, what are you doing? The guy said, I'm laying bricks. So basically, then the second person, he went and asked the second person who was still working in the same construction, what are you doing? The guy said, I'm building a wall and trying to make some money. Then he went on to that guy and asked him, what are you doing? And the response was, I am contributing in building one of the most monumental cathedrals. Now, the answers of those 3 people, they are very distinctive, different, and they possess very, very different perspective. And that is my basis of my discussion. Now, even before I go into analyzing every answer and understanding what each bricklayer, what the answer means and how it relates to the discussion that I want us to have right now, let me invite you to subscribe to this YouTube channel kindly. I appreciate the numbers keeps on growing day to day, but there are still so many people who are still watching our content, but they're not subscribing. So please subscribe to this YouTube channel. We keep on connecting, we keep on building this community of like-minded individuals so that we can be able to be transformed as we go by. Now, the first guy, we can be able to define that as the response, for that matter. He just saw whatever he was doing as just a monotonous task of just laying one brick on top of another. So whatever he's doing lacks value and he's not directed to a higher goal. Or we can also say that he doesn't look at what he's doing as a means to a higher objective. The second guy, he said that I'm building a wall and trying to make some money. So we can clearly see that the second guy thinks higher of what he's doing, or he values what he's doing, or whatever he's doing has a higher objective. So he's not just engaging on a monotonous task of laying a brick on top of another, but he's actually building something. So he has an objective and also he wants to make some money. The third guy, and this is where I'm going to base my discussion, so allow me to refer so that for the sake of context and for you to really understand what the answer of that guy says, that I am building a cathedral. So this bricklayer sees his work as part of a grand vision. He understands that his individual contribution, though seemingly small, is essential in creating something magnificent and lasting. Because the cathedral, of course, is going to stand for generations. So that guy really values what he does. So there are three people doing the same thing, but how they perceive what they are doing makes all the difference. So with that illustration comes my conclusion, which I want to dive a little bit deep and clearly understand why I think this is important. So how you perceive what you do informs how you do it, and also, most importantly, informs the kind of results that you get. Why? Because if you perceive what you do as a greater commitment to a higher goal, you're going to do it with the intensity, and you're going to put in quality effort, intentional, and therefore you're going to get completely different results from a person who is just doing it casually without a higher sense of objective. So, in a nutshell, clearly understand how you perceive what you do with regards to where you're going, or with regards to what you want to achieve, regardless of where you're working. If you're working in an organization as an accountant, do you just look at it as a person who just put in numbers and just do some balance sheet and you're done? If you're working in an industry, do you just look your work as that monotonous thing that you do on a daily basis? Or do you think about how these goods are being processed from raw material to actually getting to the consumer and the impact that they are bringing to the consumer? And without you, mind you, the consumer cannot get that good as perfect until you do what you need to do. Remember, it might be seemingly small, but without that, the final product is not there. So I want us to change the way we look at what we do. We fail to look at the monotonous repetition of the activity itself, but we focus on the impact of the results or the product that is being produced by our repetitive task that we are taking. So the whole focus is changing it from the exact activity that you do on a daily basis to the impact that you're creating in the greater world. If you're a teacher, you're not looking at waking up and teaching kids some language or some simple mathematics or science or social studies or whatever. You're looking at harnessing these individuals that are going to be responsible citizens in the future. So you are actually part of building our next generation. And I bet if you look at it from that perspective, of the fact that you're not just getting into class just to teach as a teacher, but you're coming in to shape a generation, those are very two different perspectives. And I bet you're going to approach whatever you're doing very differently, depending on how you perceive it. And the results that you obtain, this is very important. The results that you obtain reflect what you perceive about what you do. So whenever you look at the results and you're not happy with the results, go back and look at, why do you do what you do? How do you perceive what you do? Do you look at the activity, or do you look at the impact that you're creating? Those are two different things. Now, there is an aspect of life that I've come to appreciate over time. That I try to do what I'm doing as if I'm being paid $1 million bob. When you go to that work, can you ask yourself, assuming I was being paid $1 million, how would I show up to work? What time would I come? How would I go about my business? I bet you're going to be more serious than you're doing it right now. So assume you're being paid $1 million. How would you show up on that job? Assuming your business is generating $1 million, how would you look after those clients that are allowing you to make that $1 million? How would you go about the systems that you're creating, the processes for that business, the intensity in which you bring about in that business? How would you put in the work, the hours, the commitment, the resilience, the consistency in waking up and being better every time, developing yourself to even offer better services? I bet it would be greater than what you're doing right now. And we usually say that you have to be willing to become what you want to achieve. You have to be willing to become what you want to achieve. So if you want to make $1 million, if you want to make $1 million, you have, with that business that you're running, you have first to run that business as if you're making the $1 million, and then you're going to attract the $1 million automatically. If you want a salary raise in your wherever you're working right now, you feel that it's gotten to a point where you need the salary to go up. So first, you have to do your work, or you have to go about your job as if you've already gotten the salary. And guess what? Law of attraction, as well as the output you're gonna give, it's going to signify that you're doing more. And it is at that moment where the organization is going to realize, and you can get the promotion that you're looking for. So the whole idea is becoming what you want. Becoming what you want. Now, how important you view what you're doing, the better you are going to do it. The better you do it, the better the outcome. And eventually, positive progress in the right direction. Positive progress in the right direction. So think big on what you are engaging with in your life. Always look at it from the perspective of what can be done, the potential it possesses, if well implemented, and work towards that. Don't be average. Don't be average. And also, don't be casual. Don't be average and don't be casual. Always do it with intensity. When you wake up to go about your business, do it with intensity. Do it with the right enthusiasm. Don't just be like any other person. Wake up and decide to do what you're doing in a phenomenal or in an above average way. Different aspects of our lives that we need to change the way we look at them. We need to stop focusing on what we are doing, the activity itself, and put more focus on the kind of impact. And when we focus on the impact, guess what? The thinking around the potential of how that processes is going to allow us to even execute it in a better way. That is our personal life. Areas of personal development we need to change. Don't just look at personal development is about learning, surrounding yourself with the right people, focusing on reading books on what you want to understand better in. So don't just look at the activities. Look at, if I were to improve my life, what would I be able to accomplish? So if you focus on the kind of things that you would accomplish by developing yourself, I bet you would focus so much on developing yourself because you know the repercussion or you know the advantages of doing that. Professional life, that one goes with no say. Whatever I've been explaining. The last one is your relationship, friendships, family, partners, and so forth and so forth. Now, the way you perceive what you do has repercussions to the results you get. Why is that so? 1. Perception shapes your motivation. Perception shapes your motivation. If you see what you're doing as meaningful or part of a larger goal, you are more likely to be motivated, engaged, and passionate about it. That sense of purpose fuels higher commitment. So if you perceive it as a contribution to a greater goal, you are going to be even more motivated towards pursuing it with intensity. The other thing is quality effort. When you view your work as important, you naturally put more care and attention to it. The effort you put is the effort you put in directly affect the quality of the output. The more you care, the better the results. So if you put quality effort in what you're doing, and the quality, you are able to put the quality effort because you think more of what you're doing, then that is going to affect the results that you get in a positive way. The other thing is skill improvement. Skill improvement. Consistent effort towards something you value allows you to sharpen your skills and become better at it over time. This leads to significant personal and professional growth. So if you put quality effort and you actually take inventory of what you're doing, then that is going to improve your skill set. The last one is positive outcome and progress. Positive outcome and progress. With a mindset that values what you are doing, your actions align with your goals, leading to better results. As you continue to improve and see progress, it creates positive cycles that propels you forward. Positive outcomes and progress. Now, to sum up everything, it's all about changing the way we look at what we do. From looking at the repetitive activity to looking at the results, or rather looking at the impact that the results you're producing are doing into the world, into your community, into the surrounding, into the company, the business, the workplace. So, the impact that you're creating with what you're doing is more important, and it allows you to actually pursue the activities in a more intentional and in an intensive way. Thank you very much for sticking up to this point. We keep pushing, we keep moving. We are in this together. See you at work.